are local citizen journalists that a lot of people tend to gravitate more towards. Big local stations monitor those and use that as a way to keep up with what's going on.
I educate myself on what to look for in news outlets, what is biased, what is not biased, and how to avoid bias myself.
I could honestly say I haven't took the time to sit down in a living room, watch news. It would only be if a clip was sent to me and I was like, wow, that's really interesting.
In a world where information is literally at our fingertips, traditional news sources, once the pillars of truth and accountability, are struggling to connect with a very generation that holds its future in its hands. Young adults are turning away, seeking news in new, uncharted territories. But why? What's driving this disconnection, and what does it mean for the future of journalism? In this series, we're going to dive into the shifting media landscape, the rise of social media, and the voices of a generation that feels more disconnected from newsrooms than ever. Join me as I explore the challenges, innovations, and the possibilities for bridging the gap between young adults and the news that they need. Let's start with the voice of someone shaping content for an online audience every day, a social media content creator.
I'm Dolores, I'm 22. I used to do media filming in high school, but it was mostly during COVID. Everybody was in lockdown and I had just created a lot of videos during that time. It took me about 3 months to make over 1 million followers on TikTok. The types of videos that I would watch would mostly be short videos, anywhere from like a minute to 5 minutes long. It tells me the base of the information. I try to keep informed. To be honest, I don't think I would watch that much news relating to like the world. Mostly like what's kind of just been hitting here in Hawaii. And if it's like really big, of course I would watch what's trendy or what's interesting.
Dolores emphasized that if traditional broadcasters want to stay relevant, they need to rethink how they deliver information.
Short videos is the fastest way to like go viral, to get your video the most shared. I work a lot on how do I get somebody to watch my video, make them stay watching, and how do I get somebody to share a video. So even if it's just like small clip, if it's something that's like super engaging, people want to see more of it. It's really all about consistency, and that's kind of how you build that engagement with people. You build that trust with people. Through this way, you kind of get a sense of comfort and like trust through the social media world in a weird way.
As someone with a large following, Dolores understands the value of accessible information, but also sees the risks of misinformation on social media.
After watching a couple of events that took place in Hawaii that the news has been broadcasting, for example, the union pay with like hotel workers, which is really important. This news station video kind of went viral for this one like tourist guy who was just saying, oh, my luau plans were canceled, like, oh, you should have done this like somewhere else. And then everybody was like completely bashing this person. And I think that perspective gave me the realization that at least with the news station would only give you double sides. So as much as you don't want to hear that side, most of the time if you're watching like via your phone, it's only one-sided.
The key isn't just consuming content passively, it's about setting boundaries, staying informed, and using the platform's power with purpose.
The news, it tells you things that's like going on. It's not necessarily things that is always going to be positive or is always going to be like happy and go lucky. I would want some news that would just tell me this is what's going on. That's why we need a news station. Like the news gives people their stories access to be like shared upon. I would like to watch something that's more heartwarming. Maybe there is more chances that the news is going to go more in the digital route, but they're still able to adapt and still have that same fundamentals that make a news station the news station, and what makes a short form video a short form video.
Now let's hear from someone working inside a newsroom.
I'm Zoe Hamada. I am a producer here at KITV and I'm 21 years old. I am working for my associate's degree, which I hope to earn next year at North Seattle College. I want to stay informed because I don't want to just be drifting aimlessly, not knowing why things are the way they are. I like knowing why things work, why people behave the way they do, and specifically in politics. What are their policies? Who are they? And who would they be as a leader? I want to make an informed decision because I am the next generation and I don't want the world to be negatively affected because I didn't do what I could have done. I know that it takes a group effort to change the world sometimes, most of the time, all the time, but I want to do at least my part. It would feel wrong if I didn't.
Zoe makes a conscious effort to follow multiple news outlets, ensuring she gets a broader perspective on the stories she reads.
I went on Instagram and I followed every single news outlet I could find that popped up, so they are constantly on my For You page. I also did the same for my local news outlets, KITV. Anytime anything breaking news happens, I always get it from BBC, CNN, everywhere. I did that because I wanted to stay informed from multiple different outlets and to get multiple different perspectives so that I don't focus on just one form of perspective, because I would like to avoid bias at all chances I get.
For her, staying informed isn't just about staying up to date. It's about comparing sources to filter out bias and getting closer to the truth.
Anytime there's a really big news story, if I see multiple outlets reporting on it, then I know I gotta pay attention to it. If there's a specific way that they word a story, I can spot the bias, or I can spot, hey, this is actually kind of in the middle. I educate myself on what to look for in news outlets, what is bias, what is not bias, and how to avoid bias myself by following and understanding many different outlets and trying to gain as many perspectives as possible. Just because a perspective may be biased, that doesn't mean it's invalid. That means you can actually understand, why is this bias? How can I avoid bias? It's a shame that we didn't get as much education from that. I had to rely on my own experience in social media, on my parents' guidance. That's just personally what worked for me.
Zoe highlights a concern she noticed among her peers. Many young adults tend to take what they see on their screens at face value, often without digging deeper or verifying the information.
I'm a little sad to say that sometimes trust in broadcast doesn't always matter. Gonna be honest, it's because I've noticed that the younger generation doesn't tend to do a lot of research. They tend to just kind of look at what is in front of their face and just kind of accept it as fact. I'm not gonna say all of them, because I know for a fact that there are many people who want to do the research, want to understand what's going on in the world. That's super cool. Whether or not a broadcast news station is trustworthy, it really depends on what the people know about them. If the broadcast news station does something really shady, if they broadcast a really biased story over and over and over again, chances are, unless people are really looking at it and really focusing and really researching, they're not gonna know that.
Now let's hear from a young broadcast news reporter navigating the challenges of a changing industry.
My name is Alina. I'm a reporter with KHON2 News. I've been working here for about a year, and I am 25 years old. I'd say apart from just listening around the community and talking to people, social media is our #1 source of getting story ideas, just because it's all in one place and there's so much content to go through. As a younger reporter, I am more in tune with the issues that younger generations face, what they are more inclined to care about. My work here, I try to reach out to those audiences through the stories that I choose. It is disappointing to know that it's not reaching them as much as I'd want them to. However, I guess it is educating the older generation, which is good in terms of societal progression, in terms of societal values and just cultural innovations and things like that.
Lena also talked about the blurred lines between traditional journalism and social media content.
It's a double-edged sword. There's so much content, so many places you can get information from, but with that, there's also a lot of misinformation and fake news out there that give local stations a bad name. On social media, people don't care about what they show. No matter how graphic it is, they want to show that to people, and people want to see it. Whereas as a news station, we want to respect the values of parents, of grandparents, who may not want to expose their children to images that are bad for them. We are more reliable most of the time. I'd say 99.9% of the time we're more accurate, which is why I think TV stays, because of the official brand, the status that we have, the trust that we can give our viewers. In a way, we can take whatever is trending, whatever is viral on social media and bring it to TV. Be like, this is accurate, this is something that you guys can pay attention to.
Alina offers insight into how the industry can evolve to meet the needs of younger audiences, emphasizing the importance of leveraging digital platforms in new and creative ways.
If we want to reel in the younger audience, we're gonna have to imitate some of the characteristics of social media like TikTok. TikTok, it's quick, fast, people scroll through it mindlessly for hours. In the same way, we have to make our stories very quick and fast, easy to consume, but at the same time entertaining. That might be a bit difficult because the issues that we cover sometimes can't be told in that TikTok format, especially when it's investigative work. We want to be very thorough and go towards more like a documentary style. In broadcast, we have to condense a story to 1 minute and 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, but we can add more details and more information on our web version.
Alina shares how she found success in building a personal connection with her audience through her social media presence.
Being engaged with social media and creating a brand for myself so that I can engage with people not just on TV. I think building that online relationship with the community is important because the more people learn about you, learn about your reporting style, the values that you represent in terms of journalistic integrity, people will tune in more.
Alina also acknowledges the harsh reality she observed. Many younger audiences seem disconnected from what's happening in their local communities.
We have to figure out a way to help the younger generation care about what news is going on. I think a big part is instilling community values in younger generations. Right now, a lot of young people don't care about the community and what goes around them, and if there's something that happens and it doesn't affect them, then they just don't care. If we change that mindset, people would care a lot more about broadcast news because we try to cater to all audiences, not just specific groups.
It's about interacting with audiences and earning their trust through authenticity and transparency.
When you walk in the shoes of the people, then your storytelling becomes different. You care about it a lot more. Higher stakes to really prioritize the quality because you don't want to let down your viewers. Not just for viewership, but because when people rely on you to tell their story, that's a privilege. That's something that reporters shouldn't take for granted.
It's up to journalists, creators, and news organizations to adapt, finding ways to meet their audiences where they are, while holding on to the principles that make journalism essential. In our next episode, we'll dive into how social media shapes the day-to-day operations of a newsroom, from driving assignments for reporters to the critical role of digital teams in keeping stations running. I'm Kaylee Pasco-Martinez, and this has been our exploration of the shifting news landscape. Stay informed, stay curious.